You know that feeling, that quiet moment where you just realize being around people feels heavy, heavier than it should. It's not that you dislike them, not at all. It's just draining in a way that's really hard to put your finger on. Well, that's what we're going to get into. Because that thing we sometimes call hating people, it's almost never about hate. It's something way, way deeper.
Yeah, and that's the key right there. This isn't just about being a misanthrope or something simple like that. It's this really complex, layered psychological thing that, honestly, a ton of people go through, but we just don't really talk about it. So let's do that. Let's start peeling back these layers one by one.
So this first layer, it's not even about the people you're with. It's about the hidden cost of just interacting. It's the performance, right? That constant emotional math you're doing in your head, even in the most casual conversations.
And that's what we mean by emotional math. Just try to imagine this for a second. For some folks, every single conversation is like a negotiation between who they really are and who they're supposed to be in that moment. It's this nonstop, running calculation in their head about what to say, what not to say, how to act.
I mean, look at the mental gymnastics involved here. First, you have to kind of dial down your real self. Then, you're trying to figure out what the other person wants or expects from you. Next, you might have to soften what you really think just to keep things smooth, and on top of all that, you have to put on the right facial expression. Now, imagine doing that all day long. Of course it's draining. It's utterly exhausting.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper to the next layer, because this is really important. That exhaustion, it's not a choice. For a lot of people, it comes from having a mind that's just wired differently, a mind that feels and processes everything way more intensely.
Think about it like this. Imagine you're standing in a room with 100 TVs, and every single one is on a different channel, all blaring at you, demanding your attention. That's what being in a social setting can feel like for some people. They're not just seeing your face, they're picking up on every tiny change in your voice, your body language, the energy in the room. It's just this constant, overwhelming flood of information.
And yeah, there's actually a term for this, emotional overstimulation. And here's the thing you absolutely have to get. This is a trait, not a flaw. It's just a kind of heightened sensitivity. It means you're taking in too much, noticing too much, and all of that input can make the world feel, well, incredibly loud.
So you see the disconnect, right? What the world sees as someone being avoidant or standoffish is actually an act of self-preservation. When your brain is basically short-circuiting from all that input, pulling back isn't about rejecting other people, it's about trying to get your own system back online. It's a survival tactic.
All right, let's go one layer deeper still. Because sometimes this need for space, it's learned. It's a shield that's been built piece by piece from all the small emotional hits we take over the years.
Just think about how this stuff adds up. Maybe as a kid, you learned that kindness wasn't free. It always had strings attached. Then as a teenager, every time you opened up, you just got misunderstood. And then as an adult, you learn the hard way how easily trust can be broken. See, none of these are necessarily huge, dramatic traumas. They're more like tiny drops of water. But over a lifetime, those drops can carve a canyon.
And all of that leads to something called protective detachment. And the key word here is protective. It's a shield built out of caution. It's not a wall built out of anger. That's a huge difference. Its only job is to create a little bit of emotional breathing room, a space where you don't feel constantly watched or judged. It's purely about feeling safe.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting, here's the big paradox. Underneath all that caution, all that distance, it's not that they don't want to connect, it's the opposite. It's this deep, powerful hunger for a real, authentic connection. And this is really the heart of it. Choosing to be alone isn't some rejection of all of humanity, it's a rejection of the shallow stuff, the performative connections that just leave you feeling empty. It's not running away from people, it's searching for something real.
I love this analogy. Think of social interactions like food. You've got your emotional junk food, the small talk, the forced office parties. It fills the time, but it leaves you feeling kind of gross and exhausted. But then you've got the nourishing meal, a deep conversation, a comfortable silence with a good friend, just being genuinely present with someone. That's what they're hungry for. It's all about quality, not quantity.
Okay, so we've peeled back all these layers and now we're at the very core of it, the big reveal. This is the part that flips everything we think we know about this on its head.
Because here's the question that's probably been nagging at you, right? If these people are so sensitive, if they crave connection so much, why on earth do they push people away? It makes no sense. It's a complete contradiction.
Well, the answer is so powerful and so completely counterintuitive. It's not because they're cold. It's not because they're unfeeling. It's not because they feel nothing.
It's because they feel everything. That distance, that's not a shield against other people. It's a shield against feeling too much. The retreat comes from an overwhelming flood of emotion, not a lack of it.
And that right there, that is the great misunderstanding. The outside world sees quiet and calls it cold. It sees someone being still and reads it as disinterest or rejection. But on the inside, there's a mind running in overdrive, observing, processing, feeling the world in what you could call stunningly high definition.
So where does this all lead? What's the hope here? Well, the goal is never permanent isolation. The real desire, the ultimate goal, is to find a connection that finally feels safe. A place where you can finally put the shields down. It's about finding the right people.
And what does that right connection even look like? Well, it's being with someone without that constant pressure to be on or to entertain them. It's being close without having to perform. It's finding those amazing, rare people who get that silence isn't awkward. It's a sign of total comfort and trust.
So when you boil it all down, it's never really been about disliking people. It's about that long, often quiet search for the right ones. The few people who make connection feel like coming home, not like running a marathon.
So I want to leave you with this to think about. The next time you meet someone who seems quiet, who seems a little distant, ask yourself, are they really pushing you away? Or are they just protecting themselves? Are they shutting you out? Or are they maybe, just maybe, quietly waiting for someone to knock gently on the door?